first episode of Guys, a new video series on game-winning RBI where we talk about different types of baseball guys. In this one, we're talking about name guys. Now, the NFL has outpaced MLB on name guys for some time now. No wonder the ratings are so much better. Baseball just doesn't have name guys on the level of Divine Diablo, Storm Duck, that is not a nickname, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and my favorite, Whitney Merciless. Like a 260-pound intimidating defensive end and his last name is Merciless? That's not just on the nose, it's all the way up it! But we're not here to talk about football, so enough of that. We're putting together a roster of baseball name guys. Now, I'm trying to avoid old-timey guys because that's just too easy. All those guys had crazy names like Honus or Napoleon or Tristram, and nicknames are forbidden, although diminutives are okay. So Ozzie Smith would be fine, but Dizzy Trout, no. And I'm trying to make a pretty good team too, so we can have a bit of dead weight, but guys like Lil Stoner, which is a nickname for Ulysses Simpson Grant Stoner, which is a pretty great name on its own merit. But sorry, Lil Stoner, 2.7 strikeout per 9 innings is not going to fly on this team. And yes, I know there are a lot of bawdy-sounding names that people like to chuckle about, but this is a classy channel. We're not going to go in for that. So we're not going to draft players like Dick Pole, or Johnny Dick Shot, or Stubby Clapp, or Jack Glasscock. We wouldn't stoop to that level just for a cheap laugh. So we're not going to talk about Cum Posey, or Pete Lecoq, Charlie Furbush, or Liddell Titcomb. We wouldn't do that. If you want to do that, I'm not going to judge.
Maybe that's how you get your kicks. You and your good time buddies.
Okay, here we go. At catcher, we've got Shea Langoliers. Dude's last name is a Stephen King monster. That's wild.
The Langoliers, they run. They have purpose. In fact, you could say that the Langoliers are purpose personified.
I didn't watch a lot of A's baseball in 2024. Who did? But this guy had a pretty darn good year. 29 dingers with okay catcher defense, that'll play. And he's got a ready-made sci-fi nickname if he wants it, the Timekeeper. Or you could go with the full-on Timekeeper of Eternity.
If you're not into the whole brevity thing.
First base, Dane Orge. I had a hard time finding a name guy first baseman for some reason, so I'm going with Dane Orge here, who was more of an outfielder, but he did play 114 games in his career at first. Really, he was more of a bench bat, professional hitter type than a starter, so this is a real weak spot for this team, as you usually want a big bat at first base. But he makes up for it with the most aggressively Scando-coded name in baseball history. Dane Orge sounds like the name of some Nordic god. Second base, Eddie Stanky. The famous quote from Leo DeRocher about Stanky was that he can't hit, he can't run, can't field, but he just knows how to win. But looking at his baseball reference page, it's clear what Stanky's skill was. Dude was an on-base machine for the Dodgers and Giants in the late 40s, early 50s. Also, Stanky was known for doing anything to gain an advantage. He used to get in the batter's field of vision and do jumping jacks as a distraction, until the league was forced to change the rule book. And probably the most significant single play of his career was in the 1951 World Series when he kicked the ball out of Phil Rizzuto's glove in a play at second base. And I'm pretty sure he was the inspiration for this. Third base, Rance Mulliniks. This is the platonic ideal of a name guy.
It's indescribably beautiful.
It's seamless. It's perfect. It's absolute limitless light.
Rance alone is an S-tier name, but then you get Mulliniks. Mulliniks.
I can't know how to hear any more about Mulliniks.
But Rance was more of a role player, and he couldn't really hit left-handed pitching, like at all. So we do need a right-handed platoon partner. It turns out Rance's actual platoon partner on the 82 to 87 Blue Jays was another elite name guy, Garth Orge, Dane's brother. These two combined Voltron style to create one hell of a composite player. In 85, they combined for 5 WAR. Imagine harnessing that level of name guy value, not just on the same team, but at the same position. The 80s Blue Jays really had an embarrassment of riches. Shortstop, UL Washington. I know what you're thinking, you can't just do initials, that's like a nickname. But guess what? UL was this man's given name, with the periods. What did it stand for? Nothing. It was just U period, L period. UL was a very solid defensive shortstop, famous for playing with a toothpick in his mouth. If we ever do a Toothpick Guys episode, UL will be one of one. Left field, Amos Otis. Amos Otis was certainly the last American man named Amos, probably already an anachronistic moniker in his 70s heyday. It's a pleasantly symmetrical name, though. Amos Otis rolls off the tongue. He was a consistent speed-power combo who played center mostly, but he wasn't great defensively according to modern metrics, so I'm going to put him in left. Center field, Lloyd Moseby. Back to those 80s Blue Jays. This one is not quite as glorious a name as Rance Mulliniks or Garth Orge, but it's got something. First off, like Amos Otis, Lloyd Moseby is probably the last American man named Lloyd. And then the surname Moseby gives me the image of someone gliding through the outfield, effortlessly making great plays. Not moseying, but Mosbying. And Lloyd was an elite defensive center fielder in the 80s. He lost his step in the second half of his career for sure, but early on, he had that effortless skill. Makes you think about the theory of nominative determinism, the theory that your name defines your career and personality, like the fireman named Les McBurney, or Usain Bolt being the fastest man in the world. This is obviously a theory that only complete morons believe, but it's definitely fun to think about. Right field, Enos Slaughter. Geez, speaking of nominative determinism, this is the name you come up with for a vile racist character in a Southern Gothic novel. And by many accounts, he was a vile racist, allegedly slurring and famously spiking Jackie Robinson in 1947. Now, Slaughter was also known as a hard-nosed and dirty player. His name was Slaughter, after all, what do you expect? So it is possible his spiking of Robinson was not motivated by racism. Either way, we're going to try to separate the art from the artist here and appreciate this name guy, flawed as he was. In addition to having a great name, he was also a great baseball player, putting up 57.6 career WAR despite missing his age 27, 28, and 29 seasons to military service. DH. So I'm going to go with another platoon that existed in real life, on the 1984 Detroit Tigers. This is a very earthy sounding duo. And I know what you're thinking, Rusty's name is
strongly vaginal,
but it's actually pronounced Kuntz, you animals. Like Mulliniks Orge, Grub Kuntz put together a solid composite season in 1984, combining for an OPS well over 800. And yes, Rusty Kuntz did not put up a lot of value, but that was because he played the outfield and was a bad defender. On this team, he's going to stay at DH and only bat against left-handed pitching. Starting rotation. Okay, I'm going in the Wayback Machine for this one, but it's just too elite of a name. And this guy did play half of his career in the live ball era at least. Urban Shocker. How is that a name?
Shocker.
By the way, that title song from the Wes Craven film Shocker is by a metal supergroup called the Dudes of Wrath, with Paul Stanley and Tommy Lee and a bunch of other hairband veterans. Just guys being dudes. And some other guys being dudes were the 17 exempted spitballers who were allowed to throw the pitch after it was banned in 1921. One of those guys was Urban Shocker. And oh, I guess Urban Shocker was an anglicized version of his given name, which is still elite. Urban Shakur. Vida Blue. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty. There has never been a more wonderful name. And if you want to throw his middle name in there too, it's pretty awesome. Vida Rochelle Blue. It's a pretty strong rotation so far. A couple of great pitchers who can eat innings. Speaking of eating, Orel Hershiser. Because oral, it's like eating. Orel is a very unusual name. Until I was making this video, I always assumed Orel Hershiser was from the South. Probably for no reason other than that the only other person named Orel I've ever heard of is Oral Roberts, the founder of the Evangelical Christian College. So I always just assumed that it was an old-timey Southerner's name like Jeb or something. But Oral Roberts spells his name with an A, which is definitely weirder. Oral with an E? Yeah, now that I actually think about it, it looks like more of a Slavic name. And Orel Hershiser is about as far from a Southerner as it gets. Dude was born in Buffalo, and then moved to Detroit, and then Canada in his youth. So I couldn't have been more wrong in that assumption.
Well, I stand corrected, said the man in the orthopedic shoes. Cracking.
Boof Bonser. This one was a real roller coaster ride.
Have you, I don't know if it's buffed or boofed. How do you pronounce that?
Like, my first thought here was obviously this is a nickname. But, oh, okay, so my next thought is, this guy is Dutch, right? That would explain it. Like, they have stupid dumb names over there. But no, born in Florida. Okay, is this just a Florida man type of thing? It turns out he legally changed his name to his nickname Boof. So I went full circle there. It is a nickname, but it's also his legal name, so we'll count it. But as great as his name was, that's how bad his pitching was.
Boof.
Okay, rounding out the rotation with Laren LeGros. The back of my rotation has really gone downhill fast. But this is another thing of beauty. Laren is just not a name. And LeGros, with the capital G? Chef's kiss. Okay, so it's a top-heavy rotation, so we're gonna need a couple good arms in that pen. Oh yes, Roland Fingers. At the intersection of mustache guys and name guys, you will find Mr. Fingers. And this is an elite old-school reliever, a fireman even, who's gonna give you quality innings out of the pen. Paul Ossenmacher. Not really an exceptional name, but I'll take him purely due to the fact that I vividly recall watching a Cubs-Braves game in the late 80s on WGN, where Harry Carey said to Steve Stone, "Did you know that Ossenmacher spelled backwards is Recamnessa?" Something that's always stuck with me, and it gives me a solid lefty setup man. And I'll take a solid righty setup man here, with the Brothers Grimm-ass named Hansel Robles. Okay, so those are my key guys. I'm going to tack on a couple of bench guys here. Oddibe McDowell, a solid left-handed outfield bat with speed. And I'll take the syllabically blessed Aristides Aquino as a power bench bat. And gotta go with Mackie Sasser as my backup catcher. I think we're pretty good there, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly round out the rest of this 26-man roster with some classics like Bobson Dugnut, Sleeve McDykel, Todd Gonzalez, and I'll take Dwight Rorschel. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments who your favorite baseball name guys are that we missed.
Yeah,